This is TEDxOshkosh TV, a complimentary extra to the annual TEDxOshkosh in-person event. In each episode of the show, we'll learn more about a past TEDxOshkosh speaker, how their talk idea is spread, and the change it has inspired.
Hi, I'm Grace Slim. Welcome to TEDxOshkosh TV. I'm your host. Today we have Scott Sopata, a police officer with the Oshkosh Police Department, and his partner, Gema, a yellow lab right there. And her official title is facility dog. Scott gave an intriguing talk in 2022 on a different form of canine policing that involves cuddles and maybe even belly rubs. Before we get to our guest, I'm going to show you a clip from his talk, Support and Comfort, a new form of canine policing.
Right next to donuts, law enforcement officers love canines. Think about everything that they do for us. They help us in the most tricky situations. We use them to find drugs, explosive devices, to find people, and to apprehend them. So why can't we have a mental health dog?
Scott, thank you for being here. In your talk, you hit on what people, including me, think of canine police dogs. I'm thinking of a scary, big German Shepherd going after the bad guys. I'm certainly not thinking about, like, Gema here. So take us back to that talk. I mean, what made you decide to pitch this idea to TEDxOshkosh?
Well, thank you for having me and inviting me back here. In 2022, we had just started our behavioral health program the year prior. To be honest with you, I hadn't really heard of TEDxOshkosh prior to all of that. And when the opportunity was presented for me to talk about canine magic at that time and the work that we were doing, it was intriguing to me, and it was the opportunity for us to really showcase what progressive steps that we were taking to better serve our community and the people that were struggling in Oshkosh.
So tell me, what compelled you to do this? I mean, tell me about your journey as a police officer. When you first became a police officer, what did you think your role was?
I started being a police officer in 2012, and at that time, I really was intrigued to work, with children in schools and be a school resource officer. And through my patrol experience, I found that I was really blessed with the ability to talk with people who are struggling with mental illness and to get them to calm down and to help them find different resources within the community. And at that time, there were no behavioral health officers being talked about when I was in school, definitely not when I was in high school, not even in college. And in 2021, when Chief Smith brought this new position into light, I looked at it and I said that this would be a great opportunity, I guess, for me to be able to grow my career, help other individuals who are in crisis, and really start something new within the county and the city of Oshkosh.
When you think of, when I think of police officers, I think of that phrase, protect and serve, and I don't know where a dog like Gema would play in this scenario. I mean, I see on TV the canines that go after the big German Shepherd ones that go after the bad guys, but tell me about Gema's role.
So when we talk about protecting and serving, a lot of times people think of catching the bad guy, holding them accountable, bringing them to jail. Well, sometimes service, though, looks different for different individuals, especially people who are in crisis or are suffering with their mental health or struggling with addiction. Sometimes serving means de-escalating. Sometimes serving means de-escalating, getting them to resources so that they can help better themselves, so we don't have that huge crisis that either causes someone to end up in the hospital or brings them to jail. And it's a lot of that deterrent work that we end up helping our community and really serving that population.
So you gave this talk, and what did you want the audience to take away? The
idea that canines can be used for so much more. not only in policing, but within the community as well. Since this talk has happened, there's been so much growth, not only within our department, but within our city and within the surrounding area, with dogs that are like Canine Magic and Canine Gema that are being utilized to not only make workplaces more enjoyable and beneficial, but serving the people that utilize those resources. And it's just a new form and something that we're really excited to continue to experiment with, have some failures, learn from the successes that we have, and continue to build different programs like this.
This Gema's not your first facility dog. First, tell us what that means.
So Gema is a facility dog. So what that means is she comes to work with me, and her job is to interact with the people that I interact with. So whether that's different members of the community, whether that's different members of our police department, or if it's a specific person that we're working with on a call for service. So she comes to work with us, and she, like I said, goes into our squad car and goes on every single call with us. Now, whether we utilize her or not, that's a different story. I think in the beginning, when we first got Canine Magic at that time, we thought that she was going to be deployed on every single call, that she was going to help everyone, and we learned that that wasn't the case. My co-responder Kayla and I were still the face of this program, and our voices and our personality and our knowledge is still the driving force of that. And Gema and Canine Magic are now additional resources that we can use to help calm people down if need be, or keep them calm in certain situations. The biggest, I guess, avenue that we've seen the most growth with this program is working with individuals that are at risk in our communities when they're not in crisis and before the crisis. So we get to go to certain places, talk with individuals while they're not in crisis, let them know us before they need us, before they have that crisis. And that way, if they would become unstable, and if they would have a crisis or they would be a victim of a crime, they've already seen our face, they know who we are, and that just makes the interaction go that much smoother and that much better.
And you mentioned Canine Magic. Tell me a little bit about Canine Magic.
So in my original TEDx video, we had Canine Magic. She was a golden retriever. Sadly, about a year after the filming of our TEDx, I noticed that she was breathing funny. And within about 5 days of going to the vet, we found out that she had cancer on multiple organs. And the reason why she was breathing funny is that the cavity that's by her heart was filling up with blood because of the cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we had to make the difficult decision to put her down, but knowing that it was in her best interest. And it was a very tough time for us, but it was the right thing to do based on the diagnosis that we had received.
Tell me, one big case that Canine Magic had worked with you.
Besides the ones that we've already talked about on the TEDx talk, after that, we actually went to a neighboring agency. They had gotten into a use of force scenario. They had a couple officers off. And one of the officers that was involved with the use of force was coming back to work, and they requested that Canine Magic and I go to their roll call to welcome the officer back, to kind of ease him back into his patrol duties. And at that time, I didn't really know who the officer was. I didn't look him up on the internet. I didn't do any of that. And we just said, absolutely, we're going to come down there. We'll support you guys. We'll support this officer. And so we went into their roll call room, and I'd say there's 10, 12 officers that were in there, including Magic and I. And we were just talking, and at that point I let Magic off of her leash so she could go and interact with everybody. And she eventually found one person, sat by them, and just stayed there. And we were talking for 20, 30 minutes with all of these officers. And eventually I got to the point where I apologized and I said, I'm so sorry. I know we're here for someone specific. I don't know who that is. I don't know if they're in the room or not, but Magic clearly likes this one officer. And the officer that invited me in said, just trust your dog. And she had found the person that needed it.
Yeah, she knew who needed her the most.
She knew who needed her the most. Yeah, and it was just an awesome story about her excellent training that she got with Journey Together, but then two, just the type of dog that she was.
Okay. These facility dogs become part of your family.
Yes, they do. I joke every once in a while to people, and when you see people that have facility dogs or other working canines, the handler that's with them probably spends more time with that dog than they do with their spouse or their family. That dog goes home with them, goes to work with them, probably sleeps in the same bedroom that they do. They are with them all the time. And it's an incredible bond that you gain with these dogs, and these dogs then become part of your family.
So when Gemma goes home with you, does she become did she take off her work persona?
She absolutely does. So she has a couple of commands that I can tell her where she knows she's not working. Her biggest tell is when her perfect pace and her vest come off, and at that point she becomes a normal 2-year-old yellow lab. She loves to play. She loves to interact with my kids, go outside, play fetch, go swimming. She loves to just be a normal dog at that point in time.
And then when she's in her work mode, what does she like? What does she like?
She is focused on me at that point in time. So she's looking at me to protect her, to guide her, and have her do what I want her to do. And again, she knows a ton of different commands, and when you start working with these dogs, they start to pick up on what you want them to do prior to you telling them. That has been one of Gemma's biggest strengths, where she was really focused on me in the beginning, and that was part of her service animal training that Journey Together gave her. And through time, she now will go into a situation and she already knows what I want her to do, and she is starting to just interact with people and really has a good time doing that.
Do you have can you give us an example of how she handled one of your cases?
So there was a female. She had to be 18 to 20 years old. She was just figuring out life, just moved into an apartment with her partner and got on to a little bit of a rocky relationship. She did some self-harm, and she went to the hospital, and after going to the hospital, she didn't know if she needed to stay there or go home. So we went and we spoke to her to figure out, one, does she need to be in the hospital? Or two, can we safety plan her back to her residence or with a friend, family, and then give her follow-up services after that. So we deployed Gemma in that case, and we brought Gemma into the hospital, and we go into like the normal waiting room area of the ER at Mercy, and there's a couple people there, and Gemma saw the person that we needed to interact with, immediately went down by her, sat, put her chin on her lap, and just sat there and was able to get pet. And it was an awesome experience because Gemma told me who needed help at that point in time. I didn't need to tell her, and that was a really a moment where I knew that she was going to really be a good fit for our department, and she was going to make a great partner.
So, back in your talk, you're giving people a different picture of what policing is like, right? So, tell us about being on that stage. What was that like for you, in front of all the cameras and the light and the live audience?
I was excited for the opportunity to share my message, to share what we're doing. It was an awesome experience. The people at TEDxOshkosh really covered everything. They took care of us. They made sure that when we were there that we had everything that we needed, that we were calm and ready. They encouraged us. It was really just a great overall experience. The audience is there to see you. You're not there to try to sell them on anything. You're not there to try to convince them one way or the other. They're there to see you and to hear you share your message. And that was the coolest part. I just remember waking up. I was nervous. I had butterflies. I got to the grand and I had a cup of tea. And after that, everything was calm in my body. And I didn't know how or why that happened. And I just was like, I'm ready. Let's do this.
How much did you practice?
A lot. You have to practice a ton going through your speech, making sure that it flows correctly, that you share the right data, the right statistics, all of that. And you want to sound confident, and you want to, again, this is your opportunity to share with the world and with Oshkosh what you're doing. So you want to sound confident, and you want to not only do your speech proud, you want to do TEDx proud, but in my case, I wanted to do the city and the police department proud as well.
So tell us, I think you touched on a little bit about this earlier, but, what happened after the talk? What kind of feedback did you get?
So we ended up getting a bunch of different emails and phone calls from local jurisdictions and throughout the state of Wisconsin asking about our program, how we utilize the canine, what our different policies and procedures are with everything. And it was almost like the floodgates had opened at that point in time. It was almost overwhelming during some moments where I was getting back to 2-3 people at a time just because they were interested in it and they just wanted to know a lot more information about it. So the message was definitely sent out, and people definitely were looking at it and were curious about what we were doing. And I think that just goes again back to the quality of our program, the work that the canines are doing, and the need that not only in our community, but clearly multiple communities throughout the state and throughout the U.S.
You said that this program started in 2021?
The Behavior Health Officer program started in 2021, correct. On my first day as the Behavior Health Officer, I think I was in my office for 30 to 45 minutes, and Chief Smith called me into his office. And at that time, he asked me about having a dog like Magic and Gema and said, how can we utilize this? How can we grow this program and make the quality of service to our community that much better? And so it was a total different surprise at that, or it was a total surprise at that moment, totally something different that I wasn't thinking about, and it has clearly blossomed into a really great program.
Did you have any dogs or pets at home at that time?
So I have 2 cats, so they kind of interact with the dog in different ways. Magic and Gemma both like to interact with our cats, but everyone gets along really, really well. Every once in a while, one of the cats will, doesn't want to get sniffed or something to that effect, and they'll kind of go back and forth a little bit, sniffing and pawing at each other. But realistically, she's a great family dog, and she's a great partner. So,
how effective have you been able to quantify the the effectiveness of this program?
So from 2021 to last year, I can tell you that our calls for service related to behavior health related incidents have gone up. The amount of Chapter 51s or emergency detentions where we're taking people out of the community and bringing them into the hospital has gone down significantly. So the difference between 2023 and 2024, we went down by approximately 23%. Wow. Which is great. And again, that's an awesome number and an awesome stat to be able to share, but the real impact is what's happening out in our community. These are individuals that now don't need to go to the hospital. They're getting the care that they need. They're rebuilding relationships with their family. They're able to work. They're able to get back to a more normal life than what they were experiencing before. And that's where the real benefit is coming from at that. So we're very fortunate for all of that to happen, and we're realizing that with our other stats as well. Some of the other stats that we're taking are incidents that involve weapons and mental health related incidents, and those have also gone down too. So we also realize that we can't do this on our own. So while Kayla and I are the face of this program along with Gema, when we keep people out of the hospital and we keep them in the community, we're depending on other community assets to step in and help as well. Therapists, counselors, support groups, all of those individuals are the ones that are truly putting in the work and making this difference happen too. So they deserve just as much credit for all of those numbers as anybody else.
That's great. So, when you gave, obviously the message that you sent out was well received. Thinking back on that day that you gave the talk, is there anything you would have changed or done differently?
I don't think I would have. I'm happy with the talk that I gave. Presentation-wise, you think you can always do better when you're looking at yourself on a movie or on a video, but the message was there, and it was a good message to be able to share, not only, again, with our community, but with people that watch TEDxOshkosh, and it was received really, really well. So we're very thankful for that.
What advice would you give to, people who are thinking about giving such a talk?
To go for it. To spread your wings and take the leap, because as Michael Jordan said, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And if at that point TEDx doesn't agree or doesn't accept your talk at that point, don't take it as a no. Take it as a I'm not ready yet. And continue to work with your message, continue to help your message grow. I can tell you that our program is substantially different now than it was back in 2021 and 2022 when I made the talk. And things have, again, gone for the better. Take chances, take risks, learn from your mistakes, and just continue to make your message grow, because eventually it will get to that point where TEDx says, why didn't we have this here last year or 2 years ago, and you're going to get on. And it's an awesome feeling to have.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, and for sharing your stories with us and sharing Gema with us. This is Grace Lim with TEDxOshkosh TV. Now I got to give Gema a belly rub here. Hey, sweetie.
Visit TEDxOshkosh.com to view the complete talks of all past TEDxOshkosh speakers, as well as more episodes of TEDxOshkosh TV.